Good evening, everyone. Yeah, welcome to a little ad hoc live stream. Reason for this live stream is that we're doing a bit of cleanup and refactoring code and just fixing bugs and doing all that stuff. And I thought it might be a good idea just to stream it so you guys can see what kind of happens and what we kind of do and why, and try to explain some of the lessons learned and how to get things better. So yeah, I thought I'd share what I'm doing so people can learn from it. So I've got Unreal here. Let me go into that. By all means, if you have any questions or just want anything you want to chat about in the chat, feel free to ask away. So I started this the other day. We've done a playtest on Thursday, which is good because it highlighted a few bugs that we need. Well, a lot of bugs we need to fix, which is not a problem. That's what we're doing it for. But a big part of that comes down to just organization. So this project is a lot of mess, and that's because it's been a part-time project over the past few years now, and has been a lot of experimentation, trying out ideas, and learning to go on some ideas too. And since the start of the project to now, I've become more knowledgeable about the engine, the network side of the engine, and all those various things. And now I'm just applying that sort of knowledge and organization to the project as a whole now, because it is likely that I want to bring a team onto this eventually, so it's not just me making it. And obviously they need tidy code and comments and everything else to actually make stuff. So that's what we're doing. We're going through and cleaning things up here. So a little preview of what stuff we've been doing. So I've gone through before how I sort of organize my folders in a video, but in here we've got systems folder and we've got our main parent classes. These are the classes that are going to be used across the whole game, menu, in-game, everything. So we've got the player controller and the player state. So if I go into the player state, for example, we can kind of start seeing what I'm doing here. This one might be pretty empty, as a lot of the work happens in the game one. Yeah, so it's pretty empty. So what I've been doing is going through and just organizing my crap out. So we've got commentary as these little yellow nodes here. Client events are these little orange ones, and I've stored all my colors I need to do as this one. We'll just rename that theme to the comment theme. These all got names on them. So that's a comment. This is groupings. Client comments are these orange ones, and server comments are these bluish ones. And I got to these colors, by the way, because I just typed in hexlinear the word client and the word server, and that's the color they equate to. So that's how I did that. Anywho, so just organization. Naming things, putting things into functions, cleaning things up, giving things a category, easy to find, define what the hell they're doing, state, setting the player name, for example, because the player can change their name to a different display name. So by default, it's going to use your login name, but you can change it if you wish. At least that's the plan anyway. So pretty basic one, this one. This one's not that intense. But if I go to my in-game folder, these are the in-game version or children of these states. So if I go to the game states, the game's version of the player state. So there's a few more bits in here. And things still move around. I'm still playing with them and trying to figure out where the best place for stuff is as I organize it. But as you can see, a lot cleaner as it once was. And we're going to go through and clean up an actual live thing in a second. Important to note, when you are organizing your code, rep notified events, you can't put in categories, so don't try. Leave them as they are. But everything else is fair game. Okay. The thing I'm not too sure about on this one is the hunted warning. So here we've got a bit of UI. So when the player gets targeted by the android, a bit of UI will pop up on the screen. And I'm debating whether or not to put that somewhere else. I don't like it on here. But for now, I'm leaving it there. I'll come back to that if I need to. Yeah, and I've gone through and just done similar things to all the other stuff in here. So that's the player state I've been doing. The one I've been working on most recently is the controller. So the parent controller is really empty. There's not much in it at all. Yeah, doesn't really do anything. But we do have the game controller, which is a bit of a mess. So let's clean it up And this also solves a lot of the bugs that we're coming up to as well, because there'll be things like, oh, the right name is showing here, the wrong name is showing there, or this is working for one person but not the other person. This allows me to go through a fine-tooth comb and organize my stuff to make it a little bit cleaner. So, for example, the music manager was an actor before in the world. Now I've just made it part of the player controller as a component, and so all that logic that was on the music manager class is now on here instead. Okay, so this was the very last thing I was working on, this music manager. Here it is. Yeah, so this one I haven't organized yet. I say it's very raw. Just put it in. We'll clean it up further. So let's do that. Let's clean up the music manager a little bit. So in here we got the begin play, spawning the main music sound, and setting up the reference to it, as well as starting a timer to assess the player. Because the way the game works is we assess the player to work out whether we should be mixing the music for more suspense or more panic-inducing stuff. And this sort of thing is good to put in like an initialization function. So I'm just going to collapse that to a function, init music manager. And that's going to go there. Okay. The music manager component does not replicate because it's music just for you. So it doesn't bother replicating. So I don't have to worry about putting things in like the correct functions or custom events because, yeah, it's just for you. So init music manager, nice and tidy. Next, we've got this play chase music. So here is something that's going to stay as an event. And the reason why it stays as an event is because of this do once. This do once means that I only want it to trigger once if I get seen. So if I get seen by an Android, it will play it once and won't play it again or won't restart it again until we've finished playing this chase music. So it just waits for that to finish and then does it up here. But there may be a nicer way to do this. Because we have got a lot of functionality in here, such as like we're telling music to play begin chase over here, and we're starting to fade the music over here, play chase music. We've got stuff over here. Muted. I don't know if we're going to keep that. We'll see. But this sort of thing, we can probably tidy up around and just say a little flag saying is being chased. So that can also be tied to the player controller or player state, because they both also have a thing on them which indicate whether we are being chased. So if we're targeted, not targeted, there's one on here somewhere. It's a mess. I need to sort it out. Okay, so I don't know where it is. Let's just go carry on. Hi, Ghosty. Yeah, so we can do this as a function then. Let's collapse this to a function and go play chase music. Oh, that's when you got that there. Let's just begin chase music. Okay. And part of that needs to be a flag because we can't do one side of function because it gets called in again and again and again. We need a flag in here to indicate whether or not we are playing chase music. And as far as I'm aware, we can't pass the music to indicate whether or not we've triggered begin chase and it's still playing it. That's not something we can do. This fade music function is something I made, used with meta sounds to do a fade because I had a timeline and you can't do timelines inside components. So I made it my own little function. I'll explain that in a second. So on, begin chase music, we are going to have a function here called is being chased. And we'll just set that to be true. So we only want to do this one if is being chased is not true. So I'm going to do not boolean. Like so. Okay. And then that will go. This muted thing I might cut out because I don't really want that. We'll get rid of that. and then we've got this retriggerable delay. So this retriggerable delay, I want to avoid using delays and do onces. It's just a little bit too wishy-washy and luck-based whether or not it actually works as you want it to. And because it's a multiplayer game, you want to kind of stop relying on timers, like time-sensitive things. So we're going to change that slightly as well. So I'm just going to disconnect it, first of all, and just convert that to end. It's got begin and end. In end chase music, we want to, if we just do the functionality here of fade music out, we'll take that and put that in there. Okay. Next, this is retriggerable delay. Now, the point of this was if we were told to end playing the chase music, it'll wait 4 seconds before it starts fading out. If we get told to end the chase music again, it'll wait another 4 seconds. It'll keep waiting until it triggers the 4 seconds over and over and over again. So that can also be achieved with timers. So we are going to, over here, set timer by event. And we're going to do 4 seconds. But it only works if you promote this to a variable. Okay. So end chase timer. The event is 4 seconds, and the event we're going to create a new event, or quite a new function rather. Create matching function. End chase timer finish. We'll do something like that, and we'll tell it to do this fade music on that one. This end timer finish, though, I'm going to future-proof it for future people that work on this game. I'm going to make this a private function. Okay, so they can't just call it anywhere. You have to go through the timer-based version. Okay, and if I want to give myself a bit more flexibility, I can put the timer in there, and that would be delay time. We'll call it like that. And same with this timer here. We'll make this private as well. You don't need it anywhere else. It's just going to be there. It's being chase music. Cool. Okay, done. So we've now got this logic summarized into 2 things here. The thing that I have to do, though, is the begin chase music. I'd play chase music to begin with. I believe that's on the controller, so I need to go back to the controller and replace that. Yep, there it is. With the begin chase music. Like so. Okay, so we've got end and delay time, we'll do 4. Okay. So, what are my favorite plugins for Unreal? I don't use too many plugins. Advanced Steam Sessions is really good. I'm currently using EOS for this game, so the EOS plugins I've got from Redpoint are really good. I was trying to recommend those. Async loading screen are good as well, but that's about it really. I'm using. There's a few odd couple of ones, but they're really specific to what your needs are. Yeah. So yeah, be fun. So we've got all that functionality now just on begin play. Can this go anywhere else? Probably. We could do this construct really, but it's fine. We'll leave it there. Okay. Okay. So we've organized that whole graph down to one thing. Next is categorizing our stuff in here. So let's take a look at what we've got here now. We can categorize it. So we've got a player assessment as one thing. We've got assess player movement, increase suspense, panic, those sort of things. So we'll do one in here called player or player behavior. We'll do player behavior. And we'll put that in there. Yep. And these ones will also go in there too. So player behavior. If you ever do a C++ multiplayer game, I'd love to be part of the team. Technically, this is C++. I just haven't done any C++ programming yet. I started doing some the other day, but I got bored and couldn't be bothered. So I was starting to make my own static functions, and I was like, I can't be asked. There's no point. I might as well just keep using the ones I'm using as the function library. But noted. Keep that in mind. Then we've got this chase stuff. So we'll do the chasing ones in here. So we'll do chase. And we'll put that in there. This finish one, I'm going to show you a little tip you can do. Not many people know this trick. If you want to add a subcategory to your categories, so if I do chase here, and then put a vertical line in, and then put in another one here, and call it timer, you'll see it makes a subcategory. So my chase has a timer-based one, and then it has the actual events in there. Not people know that one. Very useful. And these two are music manager specific. So music management, we'll call it. And we'll drag that in there. Ta-da, nice and tidy. Yeah, so it is muted. I can't remember what we used that for. See, this is what I mean. Like, you work on it for so long, dance all over the place, you forget why we had this. So often the time, I'm just going to find references to see if we can find anything specifically about this. Which ones do you prefer, blueprints or C++? I've heard something it's not possible to make a good game with only blueprints. Would you say that's true or no? Okay, I prefer blueprints. They're a lot quicker to iterate with. C++ is not as quick to do. Obviously, the performance difference is very negligible. And when people say it's not possible to make a good game, good game, bad game does not depend on what you've used to make the game. You could be using Unreal Blueprints, Unreal C++, Godot, Game Maker, Scratch, pen and paper. A good game is not determined by the engine. A good game is determined by its game design and the people behind that game. No barrier of entry on that side of things. So when people say you can't make a good game, that is not a true statement at all. They might say something like you can't make enough a operationally efficient game. Well, I'll call bullshit on that one too, because people aren't really like the lag and difference that people have with their engines and their game code haven't really, like, the bad performance they're seeing has very little to do with the coding side of things. It's mostly down to the graphics. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that one. At the end of the day, make a game however you want to make a game. If it works, it works. Don't be. I hate elitists that do that. It's like, just be thankful that games being made. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, chase stuff. So that'd be chase. So it is muted. I don't think it was actually being used. Sorry, I didn't actually look. I was too busy distracted. 1 sec. Find references. Yeah, no, nothing. Delete that. Cool. End chase timer. I think that is muted was when I was debugging stuff, and I was like, no point. Chase. We can actually use the chase timer as part of the subcategory one if we wanted to, just for the hell of it. We can also make these things hidden from it as well, because this is a component. So if I go to my player controller, hit music manager, we see this stuff over here. You see there is our player behavior, there's our chase, default music. So this thing we don't need. This is a reference that's being stored inside of this thing. So I don't need to access it from this side of things, which is not a big deal for me because I'm the one currently working on it. But if I were to bring other people onto the project, that's a big deal because I don't want them confused. Because that gives the impression that if they look at that, goes, oh, there's no music set for this. We're not using it as a set. We're using it as a reference to help us in the, down the line. So on this music variable here, I'm going to go and do go to advanced display like that, and it'll just hide it for you. You can, sorry, not advanced display. You can do advanced display, but actually there's a better option. If you go to class settings, you can go to hide categories. And so this reference we've got, where is it? there, audio component. There you go. I'm going to hide that from the engine here. So if I could just type in components. So I go class settings, hide categories, components. Components. There you go. File, save. Go back to controller. Oh, it's in default. Okay. Why is it in default? Oh, I know. We just hide default. Anything that's not been assigned, we can just hide it. There you go. Compile. Play controller. Gone. Okay. So it just saves a lot of problems with anyone else that comes onto the project. They're not going to get confused by what they see there. I got blueprints and maps in various files. Is it possible to move all these files like blueprints into their respective folders without breaking something? Technically, yes. Because it's just updating redirectors. That's all it's doing. So it should be okay. I would avoid doing bulk movements. Just move a few at a time if you can. Just in case. Okay, so that is our music manager categorized and organized. Let's set up some commentary in here. So assess a player. So this function is being called on a timer, and this is assessing the player's movement. Now, why have I got these two separated out? Because currently we're just looking at a movement, but down the road there are possibilities that we're going to add more assessments. Okay, so looking at their profile, for example, looking at how strong of a player they are and things like that. So we've got assess player, and then we're assessing player movement. So double. So assess player here, we're going to have a commentary in here. We're going to say assess the player behavior for the music mixing system. Change it to our comment yellow. And also, you've got these things. You can change it to group movement or comment mode. Comment mode means if you put it inside something, it doesn't move it. It just moves the comment. Okay? Something simple like that. I haven't messed about with fluid flux. So it's on the to-do list of something to look at. Okay, well, anything else in here we can sort of tidy up in here. So is crouched, get speed from that. No, I think this is all pretty okay. So what this does, it looks at a player's movement, looks at how fast they're moving. If they're running around like a lunatic, the music changes to more panic-inducing music. And if it is more suspenseful, like they're waiting around and going slow, it goes into more suspenseful music. That's what that's doing. And I'll show you the meta sound in a second. So let's just do that as a comment over here. Assess the player's movement for the purpose of mixing music. Bum, ba, ba, bum, 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 bum. Okay, done. I don't need to explain anything else in here. Sometimes I would explain other bits if I need to, but it's a pretty small function, so it's not too bad. Okay, so that's assessing the player and assessing player movement. Hello, 2XP. When do you think your game will release, and how did you make the head split in apart for the logo for the game? Okay, so the game release keeps getting pushed back for all sorts of reasons. Most notably, just trying to. I just want to make it right. So TBD. I was hoping to get early access out later this year, but later this year keeps sneaking up on me quite a lot, and I've got possibly a lot of work lined up in a minute, so I don't know. Is the answers for that one. But the logo itself is basically, I've got two stock photos of people screaming. They were stock plus AI generated to make them look like they're screaming. So there's two photos, and I went into Photoshop, got a picture of the creature we're using, and then cut it all up and rejigged it and moved it around, recolored it, reshaded it, added the blood effects, things like that. So yeah, it's three images that I could slam together and edited myself in Photoshop. that's how I made that. The game was good. Do check out the games on there. The winner was Everything is Soup. Worth checking out. Increase suspense. Yeah, pretty simple. Pretty simple. Leave them as they are. Oh, one thing I forgot to do is I put a comment here, and I put it in the function description here. Oops. The reason why I do that is that if someone's new to game development and is quite green to it, this should hopefully be clear enough that this is a comment. But if not, it'll be over here. That's literally all it is. Yeah, and then it was this one. Donk. Donk, donk. Okay. Cool. Okay. So that's the music manager done. Next is the player controller. So this is a big job because there's quite a bit to this to sort out. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So the biggest thing that I wanted to get fixed on here was this sort of nonsense with the delays looping around each other. I don't like that. I want to try and get around all that stuff. So yeah, getting around this issue. So the init controller, initializing of the controller. If I go some begin play, no, where was it? I forgot where it was now. I think we moved it. That's there and there. Oh yeah. So when the game starts, they get told to spawn their character and spawn the actor, process, and init controller. So this is the system I remade because Unreal's server travel is not the greatest because it's not very good at keeping track of how many players have traveled with you and then starting or waiting for them. It's kind of a pain. So what I did was I made it so that when you join the game, everyone that joins at any one moment, rather than waiting for them to turn up, everyone spawns in with an empty pawn that doesn't do anything at all. It just sits there waiting for instructions. Once we've got the right number of people in, then we tell all those pawns, controllers, to call this one, spawn character. So it goes, spawns the character, and then it tells it to initialize a controller. So why was this originally a problem? Because it wasn't originally there, it was somewhere else. So the way begin play works, I have discovered, is begin play will trigger as soon as this actor, the one that begin play belongs to, has started replicating, which is great. The problem that is, though, is that the objects you may be referring to, maybe like the player camera manager, for example, maybe that hasn't started replicating or hasn't been spawned in yet, or it's no longer not valid yet, whatever the problem is. So it becomes a bit of a pain. There is a function in C++ where you can check to see if something's replicating, like it started replicating, but that's not exposed on Blueprint. I was tempted to explain it and expose it, but at the moment I found a better, just a good solution as well. So yeah, so this thing came in mind. So begin play happens when the controller is ready. Okay, so if it goes, it spawns the player camera manager, and off it goes. Then it'll go and tell the controller to spawn the character in, wherever the hell that was. I've lost it now. Yeah, over here. And then take to initialize controller. Initialize controller, this should now not need to worry about delaying this on a loop until the player state's ready, because the player state should be ready by now. If I wanted to, I can do another check here, because I do want to get rid of this. So, we're going to do a thing on our spawn character. Where are we? So, I mean, organization is shocking. Right, let's do find references spawn character. There's the game mode. So the player is determined to be ready. So when a player joins, yeah, their controller tells them that they're ready. It adds it to the array of players. That's the player state. So the player state must exist because it's coming through here and adding it, and it's checking the player states across everything else. So the player state must exist. So when it comes through here and then calls spawn character, which is initializing character, it must exist. It can't get past that without existing. So I can now get rid of that. Okay. Next up is, we'll come back to create HUD in a second. So here we got the player state, and we're telling to get the chosen character, which is a data asset, depending on which crew member you've chosen to start with. And we're storing it on here. Why have I stored it on here? That's a good question. Let's figure it out. Because I don't know when I did this or why I did it. So let's go find references. Set chosen character. Click on the little button. And it may not actually be used for anything. So over here, we've got the end screen player card. So at the end of the game, we're looking at the chosen player character. But as you can see, I've already changed it to use the player state. So I can get rid of this. No, chosen character. No, why are we using... Where did this come from? Nowhere. I don't think I actually need to do anything with this. Yep, there you go. It's fine with it. Cool. What a waste. Next up, enhanced layer input system. Again, the system may have not started yet. There's no way to know for certain. But let's have a look. Let me see if there's anything we can do on here. I mean, it should have started by now. Like, we waited for everyone to turn up and everything, so we could try it without it. Yeah, let me have a look, see what functions there are. So if you want to know what functions there are, just type in the name of the thing. So player subsystem or input system, input, enhanced input system. No. Maybe turn off context, that might help. Subsystem. So the player controller input subsystem. This should have triggered by now. I'm going to experiment with that not being connected to this loopy bollocks. This is connected to it. We'll come back to this one in a second. In fact, why no? Why am I waiting for the input system to do that? So this is where I've taken stuff out and not changed and gone back through and refreshed it. Actually, I don't think I need this at all. Get rid of that. Okay, so the timer for function name, connect to Twitch. Because we have a Twitch functionality in this game. At the moment, it's not connected to anything because I removed the plugin, put the plugin back in, that sort of thing. Question here for Command John. How did you design the logo for the game? I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm not actually thinking of using Unreal. Oh, yeah, I can show you. I made it myself in Illustrator. But for reference, so people know, let me just bring this over here just in case anything's sensitive. Okay, that's the logo. So, where did this logo come from? First of all, the font type started off with just the word mimic, and that was inspired by like Alien, because that's what our big inspiration for this game. So look at Alien and look at what they did with their typeface and how they did it, and they messed around with the spacing between the letters. And there's lots of actually symbology in this logo to try and make it work with the themes of the game. So, for example, the game is a 5-player game. There's 5 letters. One of the letters is in red. One of the players is the mimic. So the 4 represents the mimic, okay? And represents the players, the crew members, and 1 represents the mimic. However, notice the positioning of which one is red. So the first 3 colors, MIM, are regular crew. The red I represents the mimic, and the lone C represents the agent character, which is a crew member, but they are against everyone. Okay, so they're isolated, separated out. So that's the logic behind what you're seeing there. Next up, if you notice, there's lots of shadow and glitchiness around, shadow around each of the players, and then shadow and glitchiness around the red. So the shadows, like drop shadows, all being different positions as well, indicates confusion and suspicion because you don't know who is what and ulterior motives and things like that. The glitch in the red indicates the transformative effect of the letter of the character, the I of the word. And if you look closely as well, the I also has a bit of tinge of white in the top of it, so indicating that it can be presumed to be white and then transform into red and then back to white. So yeah, that was the logic behind this. And I really like that logic, and it came out really well. But yeah, all me. It was also the idea of like spacing the letters apart to emphasize the isolation aspect of like players being isolated and not being entangled and not being able to be trustworthy of each other. Yeah. So that was the logic behind all this. Yeah. Bloody artist, me. What version of Unreal this is? This is 5.3. It was originally 5.1, then I upgraded it some time before summer to 5.3. Okay, so the Twitch thing. So Twitch Actor is a plugin that we're using. And at the moment, we're tying it to this sort of timer to say, where are we? Connect to Twitch after 5 seconds. Because the opponent can take a little while to initiate. But in hindsight, I could also do on component activated. I'm not entirely certain whether that means it's good to go. I'm going to assume it is. So I'm going to hit the little plus button there. That's a Twitch actor. And then I'm going to put in the logic that's in the Twitch actor to connect to Twitch like that. Okay. So as soon as it's activated, it will call the connect to Twitch stuff, which we're going to retie this up. So set username. Like that. Parameter, the Twitch channel, that goes across to that. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that. Set channel. And the channel parameter is that one. And then we've got the final connect to Twitch. Connect to Twitch. That's the wrong one. I don't know why I'm getting doubles. I'm guessing there's old lingering code from previous installs. Connect to Twitch. Bottom one. There you go. Done. Okay. Yeah, we're getting the Twitch channel that we're linking from the game instance because that's the because it's per player, so they get it from their own instance. And if it's not empty, then it'll do it. If it is empty, it won't do it. Okay, simple as that. Okay, so I think that'll be good for that. So we've got this Twitch stuff. I'm gonna hook this up into a thing, and we'll change it to a little box there. I also, when I'm using these big ones, I like to change the font size to this as well. Just so at a glance, I know what the hell I'm looking at. Okay. Makes it a bit easier on my eyes. Okay, so that's Twitch in there. Next up, we've got... so that initialized player. Let's go back to initialized player. We might not actually need anything from that. Where are we? Initialized controller. So on the owning client, we turn it to switch input to game, create HUD, sweat timer. Okay, so the only thing I need to really do on initialized controller then is to switch input to the game and create the HUD. That's all I need to do. Not bad. Okay. And we have to do it here. We can't do it on the actual spawn character because this is a server spawn because we're spawning a character. So this needs to, init controller needs to happen on the owning client. So it has to be there. Okay. So yeah, that'll happen there. But because it is there, I'll get rid of this empty point thing, whatever that came from. And I'm going to move my init here to here. Okay. Because it's a client one, we can put this into client initializers, and that'll be our client one, which is the orange. And then we've got the server here doing spawn character. Let's just put in our extra naming in here so we make it even clearer what the hell things are doing. And that'd be server spawn character. And this will be, let's see, server spawn, well, just call it server initializers. And we'll change that to, yeah. And now I'm going to put all of that into a function. And actually I'm going to change that to be when ready to begin. There. Getting organized. How does your Twitch integration work? Like, what is it used in the game? So in the game, there's a voting mechanic. Players can vote on who they want the android, the AI character, to attack and hunt down. But if you look up the Twitch, your Twitch chat can also vote on who they want to attack and hunt down. The way it works is Twitch will just type in vote and then the name of the player. And then it pulls it every, I think, 30 seconds. It pulls who's got the most votes. Yeah, and then works out who to give the award to, like the vote to. And it's a percentage of it as well. Yeah, we might do more, maybe more login like stuff, but for now, that's what happens. Okay, so we got is ready. So this is what I'm talking about, the is ready stuff. So server is ready. Player is ready. That's what's telling the game mode that, hey, we're ready to go. Server is ready. Where are we calling that? Because I don't remember. BB stand-in. So this is our stand-in, like the empty pawn I was talking about. And what I did with this was I said on begin play, because begin play only happens when it starts replicating. The controller is then told to server is ready. So that makes sense. So let's go back to our controller. And we're going to put that in also into here, I think, as well. And it'd be part of server functions here. So we're going to put that there. Like that. Okay. Server is ready. We want to do once because we only want to be told we're ready once. So that's fine. Delay 1 second. Wait for everyone to play is ready. I can't remember if I needed why I needed that delay. I think it was just a timing thing, just wait for people. I can't remember. Maybe come back to that in a minute. We'll just continue going as we are and see where we get to. Because no doubt there'll be other issues. What am I drinking? Just Pepsi. Nah, nothing special. Okay, so we've got that there. Where's my Twitch stuff? We'll keep it together. Twitch, there it is. Whoop. We'll put that there. Okay. This is beta specific stuff. I'm going to move this out of the way. We'll come back to that in a second. Right, what else we got in here? So this is casting the votes. So attempt to cast vote, attempt to remove votes. So this will belong in the voting mechanics stuff, which we have started doing. But these are server stuff. So basically the way it works is the server looks after the votes. The player uses the UI to choose, hey, I want to cast a vote against this person. This is basically saying to the game mode, I request a chance to cast a vote. And that way it syncs up to everyone. So that goes across, then it goes to the game state to tell everyone what the current voting actually looks like, and everyone can see the voting. So this needs to be its own thing. Server voting system. And that'll be our voting system client. Server voting system color. Okay, and we'll put that over here. And I'll put a little parent one around it as well. Just for it looking nice. Voting system. 50. Or, well, actually not system. We'll change it to voting requests. Again, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for anyone that's relatively new to game dev to come in and then start going, oh, okay, cool. I can start analysing where things are happening or what the hell they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Mark Hardy, Community Testing needs clarification of render pipelines, optimization guidelines for minimum 120 FPS. Minimum? You're nuts. Why do you want minimum 120? That's insane. I mean, I've covered in the past some optimization things you can do for render and general optimization things. Have a look at those yourself. I've done a few videos on them. Check them out. For minimum 120 performance is insane. I don't know why you'd want to do that unless you're trying to do 60 FPS VR. So you need what, 60 in both eyes? Yeah, that's nuts. Not 120. I'm aiming for 60 for this one. Get some bonus tips are like turn off nanite and lumen. If you don't need bait lighting, if you don't need real-time lighting, don't use it. There's lots of things like that. If you don't need something, don't use it. Is the general rule I'd say to follow. People tend to go a bit overboard and want to tick all the boxes. No, that's not what you're going to get. Learn what you can cut. Okay, next up we've got what's got over here? Is being chased, chase music. Omen stuff we'll come back to in a second. Is being chased stuff. Okay. So that is going to be gameplay specific things on the player. This is client based, so we're going to indicate that's client with a little client underscore is being chased. We'll put that in a little comment for now. Client is being chased by, is being actively chased, we'll say actively chased. Boom. Okay. What's this one? This was begin play. So this I want to try and tidy up if I can. So what is happening here? Let's put this near the top here because it'd be one of the first things that happened. So on begin play, we're going to start a camera fade out. This for some reason doesn't work, and I don't get why it doesn't work. It's really annoying me. But we wanted to do a camera fade ideally, and as I say, because it doesn't work, I could probably cut it out. But it's basically me setting the color here to black straight away. It doesn't work. It kind of looks kind of goofy if I put it on like a little fraction of the time. So I'm just going to cut it out. I can always rework that if we need to. Now we've got this logic. So this one is there's menu music being played in the game. I want that menu music to persist through only the menu levels, but not the game level. And the problem is with menu levels, there's a lobby screen, a level, and a menu screen, and I want them to the music to carry over into those. So the music is being stored in the instance. It's been spawned in by the instance and stored as a reference to it and told to be persistent. But because it's told to be persistent, the reference also needs to be persistent. And so I can turn it off and on again. So that's why it's in the game instance. Now, as for stopping this music here, this is happening on begin play of the controller. I probably actually want this to happen sooner. So what we'll do here is we'll make it so that when the player, I guess actually no, we don't want it sooner because there's no other time the player can be sooner. For now, I'll keep it there. We may change that a little bit. I may just collapse it to a function. Manage menu music. Okay, and we'll have it say, I will just call it stop menu music. Keep it simple. There we go. Event graph. Right, that's our begin play. Begin play. Again, just so it makes it a bit obvious, I know what the hell I've talked about and what I haven't talked about. Not a big deal, this one. Pretty basic. There we go. Okay, next up, what we got over here? So that's pause menu. Okay, so the pause menu is part of the game controller, not part of the game itself. Now, this is an input. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a separate graph for that entirely and do input graph. And in there, we're going to take that and put that there. Pause menu. Pause the game, we'll call it there. This is a client only because input action, so we'll just mark it as client only. Next up, we've got end play, remove all widgets. Okay, so that I'm going to put at the bottom here. So we've got like a sandwich effect going on. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't get people are weird. Yeah, people just hating on hate for the sake of hate reasons. Nothing amazing, nothing special. Alignment to the left. They're really aligned. Perfect. Okay, next up. So here we've got Twitch stuff going on. Okay, so this is what happens when we receive a chat vote. Okay, it's going to send a chat vote over to the server. There's our chat vote being sent to the game mode. So this stuff is all Twitch related. So I've got Twitch things. I've got Twitch initialization here. I'm going to go ahead and make a Twitch graph. Keep it all together. Confirm. Oh, it does that sometimes. I don't know why it does that. Send chat vote. We don't need a pinch string either for now. I'll put all debug stuff in later. Twitch actor. Yeah, we don't need that, do we? No. Okay. So the event we've got over here now, we've got Twitch. Take that from there, put that in here, Twitch. And this is now initializing, so initialize. There's a free screen fade plugin on Fab. Okay, I'll check it out. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted the game to start black and then fade into the game. But there's always like a frame where it doesn't do that, and it's like really annoying. So I need to go in and have a look. Okay, on chat message, Twitch actor. So this is happening on the owning client. So let's make it clear for us. Client receives chat message from Twitch, and that'll be our client. Cool. Okay, so yeah, what we do here is we look at the we're searching the message they sent, search for the word vote. Okay, if it has the word vote in it, great, that's what we want. And then we chop it. Okay, and we chop it after the 4 letters, so the word vote 1, 2, 3, 4, and it spits out the player name at the end of it. And then we send that player name across. So you just put vote player name over to the end. That's how that works. And then this is server. Server receives. That's not spelled receives. Is it? Going mad now. services. Yeah. Chat vote to send to game mode. To send to game mode. Yeah, server call. Okay. Done. Nice. Hey, all, hi, Agnes. Oh, yeah, I've seen that, Casey. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's not going to be a problem by the time I release Mimic. These things tend to last like a few days, and that's it. Mimic's well away from that, so not a problem for us. Okay, so I can get rid of that now. What else have I got in here? On player died. Okay, so this, along with a few other things, are related to the actual in-game events and things like that that are happening to the game. Crew death. So what happens to the crew when they die? We'll put that over there. And then we got set character class or mimic interface. Okay, we'll come back to that one in a second. Let's move it all up so we know we've got all together. Amen, debug. Okay. Right. So we've got mimic role death down there. That's on the mimic graph. Okay, because I've got a mimic graph here too. And then over here we've got spawn egg on the server. Taking us to this. Yeah. And that's kid looking after the eggs on here. Because a mimic character can spawn an egg to spawn out. No, don't be concerned about it. These sort of hate trends only happen for a little bit. And then sod off. It'll happen. Maltese as well, sorry. Peckish. That's right, Casey, yeah. Stick together. Okay. So, over here, this is in-game. This is in-game. And this is in-game. And by in-game, I mean like in the actual main gameplay loop of the match. So, I'm going to make them their own graph. In-match graph. We're going to take all this. Yep, take that. Do nothing. Crew roll death. There we go. Like that. And back on here, the voting requests and the is being chased stuff also makes sense to go there too. So I'm going to go put that on that graph as well. Okay, so we got death being handled here. Okay, so let's do that. Death events. Like so. This is client base, so we'll do our client call looking thing. And we'll do that as its own thing. Client death as crew member. And that'll be... Oh, this sometimes happens. Loses track of what's in front and what's behind. There you go. Okay, voting requests, and then we've got being chased, and we'll just put that in a thing as well. Chase. just so we know what we've done and what we haven't done. Nice and tidy. Get in there. So end play now can move the sandwich up a little bit. So we've got begin play, when ready to begin, and end play happening all on here. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So Omen stuff will come there. Set character class. This, I think, is an interface that we set up, so it'll transfer over the character class from the lobby. So this would actually go across over to here on this begin play sort of side of things. So I'm trying to put them in the right order of when things should happen. So visually, I have an understanding of when stuff should be triggering, rather than it's all over the place. So set character class here would probably, yeah, would go, I'd say put it here maybe. Or let's actually put it over here. Set character class. The server calls this one, so I'm going to put that as a server call. Even though it's a interface, the interface is getting called by the server in the game mode. So I'm going to indicate it as server, because I can't change the name of it, to be a server. Okay. And I'm actually going to put that inside the begin play section. It happens in that sort of same location there. Like that. Nice. Okay. Tidy. Yeah, this is childish. Yeah. I don't get why people have to be haters. It's like, dude, just be appreciative that people actually make stuff for you. It's nuts. Okay, so I think our main event graph is pretty much there, apart from the Omen bit and the debug bit. So we're pretty good there. I'm making a separate graph here for debug graph. And we'll put the events down there. To that. So this is for making it work for like this one in this case to hide all the widgets, so we can take screenshots and things a lot easier. So all this does is literally, by the way, this is quite handy to use. It's package for distribution. So if you're in development mode, you know, when you go to package, you can choose what mode you're in. Yeah. You can use that to determine true or false whether it will work or not. So in this case, F1 will only do something if I tell it to be in development mode. So false, we're going to show this, basically flip it back and forth, debug show HUD. This just gets every single widget and then goes for each one and changes them to be hidden or visible. That's all it does. Yeah. So let's make that a bit easier in here. Let's actually separate these out a bit. Because that one we probably don't need actually. And this will probably get changed because I will make a debug menu, and this will be a button on the debug menu. So for now, we'll put debug. Hide show all widgets. And I'm going to put it as a different color. And I'm going to do the same method I did to get these other colors. I'm going to go to hex linear and type in a 6-letter word. So debugs. That's a bit close to the other one, isn't it? I guess it might be fine. We'll store that as a thing. And call it one debug. There you go. Okay, what was this one doing? Spawn actor, spawn possessed. Oh, this allows us to fly around and get a pawn. Okay, so we'll do that. Again, I'll make a UI to do all this because this is it'll be a lot easier. And yeah. Debug. Spawn a spectator pawn to fly around and view the map. I think I changed this though to use this as the omen. I think this is the omen now. Yeah, that is the omen. I'm going to get rid of that then. We'll come back to I'm probably going to change this at some point. Force, crew, roll, death. There you go. Okay, so that's again looking pretty good. Omen stuff we got over here. We'll probably put that in its own graph as well. Omen graph. Cut that from there. Put that in there. Do nothing. Confirm. Do your weird thing. Server. Spawn as omen. Okay, so spawn as omen is the call that's coming from the client side. Okay, so this would be a client call. So give it the name of that. Don't need the big overarching thing now. In here, we're going to have client requests spawn of omen. So the omen is basically a ghost character that you can choose to be. You don't have to. You can be a ghost character and go around the map, just causing a bit of mayhem if you want. So we'll make that there. Then we've got the actual server doing its job. Server spawns the omen. Like that. And I'll put this as a separate thing as well and call it omen spawning. And set that as 50. Change that to there. Cool. Cool. I agree with everyone's comments. I'm just reading them all. All good. I want to put a space in there. There we go. Right. So, we've gone from that messy mess to a clean... Oh, I ain't done that one yet. Input graph. We've got that in there. We'll come back to this in a second. Later and do more stuff there. Twitch initializers. Okay. And then it goes ahead. In-match stuff. Got death events, voting requests, and being chased. And because it's color coded, it makes it really easy to me to see, okay, there's a client call, there's a server call. Yeah, I can right now just see there's two client calls. Yeah. Debug graph and omen graph. Nice. Okay, so that is that part. Then we got all this junk down here. So this is the thing. We've gone through so many different iterations of trying things out and seeing what some things over here don't even actually are. I don't think actually are being used. So, and or could be in a better place. So mimic energy, for example, the energy we have as the mimic when we're running around. Is it best place to put it on the controller? So why wasn't the controller in the first place? So the controller in the first place, because when you change to mimic and then go back to being human, and maybe want to go back to being mimic, the energy you want to carry over. Or do you? I don't know. But that was the logic. You would carry over that energy. So it needed to be something more persistent than the pawn. So the controller made a lot of sense in that case. And then comes the argument of like, okay, do we put in a controller or the state? Okay. So the difference between a controller and a state is the controller is only seen by yourself and the server. They're the only two people that care about what's going on in your controller. Whereas a state, everyone kind of can access that information. So it comes down to whether that should be the case for that. Do a poll. I would, but I don't know if I don't know what would be better yet. We have to play test it and find out for ourselves. I don't think it makes much difference because you only have 3 energy as a maximum, and to transform back to human it costs you 2, and then you go back to being a mimic. You only have 1 left, so it's not a big deal if you were going with max stuff. But it just allows us to also, we can do other things to sort of collect energy and reward energy to players. So because of the idea we can reward energy to players, it may be better off to do it as a player state, because then maybe other players can accidentally reward energy to the mimic down the line. A lot of time when you're developing any code, not just games, you want to think about hypotheticals for future cases. So, like, why would this be a good idea? What could this open? What does this open up to us if I put it here or if I put it there? Brainstorm that first, and then make the decision. Even if that never becomes to light and as a viable thing, at least then you've given it thought about what you can and can't do. So I have more flexibility for it to be in the state than I do have as a controller. I have more options to do it. So the only downside of putting it in a state versus a controller is for security reasons. Like, do we want the client to have access to, or other clients to have access to see how much energy you have? Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Even if they did see it, there's nothing they can do about it. It doesn't tell you where they are or anything like that. So for this argument, I think I'm going to put the energy level on the state. So let's go to the player state over here. And we've got match progress as a thing in here. Keeping track of whether or not we're deceased, ready to leave the map, or we are targeted. So I want to make another one in here. I'm going to go to variables and go and call this one mimic energy. Set that to an integer and give it the match progress task there, category, and compile that and leave that at 0. There we go. So whenever you make a variable, make the functions that manage that variable. So we're going to go into function here and do gain energy, and make another one called spend energy. It's really simple. We could also query energy if we want you to. Query energy. So on gain energy, I'm going to take the energy out here. Plus, and I want to maybe decide how many I'm going to give it. Again, future proofing. You're thinking ahead about what it is you could possibly do that. At the moment, we only ever gain 1, but there could be something where you may give the bonus to the player and fills their energy up. So we'll call it amount. And I set a default value here of 1 to make my life a little bit quicker and easier. So when I call gain energy as a function, it's going to really set it as that. Okay. However, I'm going to clamp it. So before we do that, we're going to clamp it between 0 and 3. Okay, next up, on the player controller, I've got a thing on there, a event dispatcher for energy updated. This is a good call to have. So I'm going to go event dispatchers here on energy updated. Very useful for UI based stuff. So we're doing here. And we'll do energy as an input and call that there. So when energy does get updated, it just reflects it around wherever it needs to go. Match progress. Okay, next up we've got the spend energy, which is basically the same, except we're going down. Am I implementing any anti-cheat in your game? Nothing specific as of yet. There's not much really can do being a multiplayer only game. That isn't already handled by back-end systems. Because the server's handling all that stuff itself, so I don't think there's going to be any major concerns, but we'll see. Keep it flexible. How many games have you made? Depends on what you define as a game. Countless, if you want to think of it like that. But what's the most fun mechanic I've done? Made in this game. Most fun mechanic. Oh, I don't know. There's so many there's so many things like I like the dynamic music system. For a lot of indie horror games, just use silence. I mean, silence is good tool to use, but I really wanted to play with music as a big thing, so I kind of like that stuff we did with that. So yeah. And then we've got query energy. Where did I get that? We'll see if that is greater than or equal to the query amount, and return that. This is going to be a pure function. Amount query. Making me that. Yeah, pretty simple one. And those three are going to be match progress based ones. So we're going to do match progress, match progress, match progress. Okay. Save. So now we've got to worry about this on the player, on the controller, swapping it over wherever it's getting called. So this is getting called, first of all, gain energy and set energy. Let's find references to that. So there it is. We need to just change where that's happening. So we got over here on the mimic player, gain energy, gain energy, gain energy. So let's go to the mimic character. What's all this? That's fine. Oh. That's being weird. There you go. Gain energy. So here we see we're getting the controller and anything. This bit multicast and all the objects, and I only do it for locally controlled. So in here, I want to get the player state, cast to mimic player state gain energy. And there's that default value of 1 coming through. Again, making it as simple proof as we can. So that's one of them. Next one. We've got here, mimic controller, gain energy. Okay, so we've got this shortcut that I made for getting a controller, which, you know, is fine. I made several shortcuts to help us with this. I could just do the same thing again, but this time for the state machine. So it's not the state, player state. So here I've got get game instance, get game mode, get mimic controller. I'll just make another one. Duplicate. So these are what we call static functions. They a static library. Okay. You can't build upon the original. You can't extend the engine's static library. You have to make it own. So that's what this is doing. So we're going to get player state, cast to mimic player state. Game. What did I do with this one? Game? Yeah, I did do game. There. Mimic player state game. As mimic player state. And that'd be a pure function, but yada yada. So now back on here, rather than doing it like that, mimic state, gain energy, 1. And we probably could put this on the other one as well. Find references. This thing here, rather than doing this again, we just do get mimic state. No difference, just looks a bit tidier, that's all. So we've got that one, and then we've got gain energy down here. Just copy. Yep. Like that. Okay. All good there, thanks, green. Don't need that. Back to the controller. Okay, so that's gain energy. We shouldn't need that anymore. I'm going to delete that. No problem. Set energy. Find references. Here we've got crew base. So here we're setting the energy to 0 whenever I am... What's this? Mimic birth. So as soon as it's born, it gets reset to 0. So we'll just do set energy. Do I want to reset it? It comes back to that problem. Do we want to reset it or keep it the same? I'm just going to remove it. Keep it the same for now. Okay. So I can get rid of that now. Yay. Okay. Next up, anything else energy related? Let's just right click on energy, find references, all good. Delete. No, wait, compile first. Delete. It's in use. Where? Oh yeah, the menus. Okay. So, let's go over here. So here we get the controller, getting energy. We'll save ourselves some hassle. Get mimic state energy. Like that. That's that one done. Update energy display. Get controller. I'm not using controller for anything else, so get mimic state. Get the energy. What's there? And delete that. Yoink. Down there. Close that. Yep. So here. So here we're doing it from the controller we've already. So this is what I mean by how everything's just messy. So here I'm doing a reference set on the event here to get the controller. But I'm only using it here for that. So what I can do here is get the mimic state. And because that's got a cast in it, I don't want to keep doing it. So I'm just going to promote that to a variable. Like so. And then go to update energy display. Don't need that anymore. Just plug in the raw reference. And then on color energy text here, we can just get state energy. So I mean, there's lots of little bits like that where we could improve that somewhat and just cut it out the controller, because now that's not being used at all. We can just get rid of that. Mimic ability is down here. So mimic player, get controller, get mimic energy. Now I saw this happen a few times in the reference list here. So if I go back to here, do another cast there, and we're doing probably, we're using it from the same one. So rather than doing that, on the event graph of this widget, we'll do on construct get mimic player state. Promote that to a variable. Okay, I no longer need to do this as we're not using it for anything else. So get player state energy. So here we're using a check. We're checking if we have more than, if greater than or equal to 3. Well, in that case, I can use my query. Query energy 3. no blind things. We actually got logic behind it where we're like, okay, this is what we actually are doing. Come back to that later. I'll get rid of that. Over here, getting the energy here. So getting player state. Here we're doing a query. So if we create query energy 1, get rid of that. And here we're going to spend energy if we take 1 away from it. So spend energy, cost of 1. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. See just how much just shave off when you start cleaning things up. Beautiful. And we'll come back to, we'll have to do UI as well another day, but yeah. For the gameplay, real-time depth of field in the Unreal Engine, do you recommend driving depth of field via post-process volume or via Cine Camera? Cine Camera is going to be more realistic to what you want it to look like. So maybe that one. I haven't tested either, so I don't know what may be the better option. I'll probably just use a Cine Camera personally. It's a lot easier to change the field of depth level as well. Post-process will probably be cheaper, but I'm not too sure what the overhead is like on a Cine Camera. Turn the fan on because I'm getting hot in here. And more heater. Don't know why it's doing this. Very annoying. We'll just wait. Also, a few little tidbits while I wait for this. So we were talking about logos earlier. When you do make a logo, do make sure you save out pretty much every single type of version you're going to need. So I've got it all in different things. I've got CMYK versions and RGB versions. So if you don't know different, CMYK is what you need for print-based media. So if I'm ever going to print something out, like merchandise or whatever, I have to use one of these logos. And then if it's going to be on screen exclusively, use these logos. There's other things in here because we've got transparency in the logo. Some places transparency doesn't work that well, especially on print. So I had to bake the color of the transparency in. Really annoying, I know. But yeah, loads of different versions of it, including like an icon version of it. And there's my source file to keep track of what I'm doing. Do this. When you start making your logos for stuff, do that. And make sure you have developed key art as well for it. So for example, we have key art. You've seen it. It's part of this thing. As you can see the combination of these. So there was these two images, and then they were combined together by myself in Photoshop to create this effect. And then there's loads of variations of that everywhere, based on different publishing materials. So for example, when I go to publish it for Steam, we have a load of different store assets based upon different headers. These are now have to be redone because they've updated their sizes to be basically double the size now. So I think they're changing their store to be like 4K-ish or whatever. As you can see, there's the original ones. Yeah. I haven't got rid of them just in case. Then we've got also them PlayStation ones all in here. So I've got a load of screenshots they had. Xbox in here. So with Xbox and to an extent PlayStation don't like the sight of blood in on your key art and things like that. So way around that, and I actually quite like this, is to use make red in the background, because you want red to be part of it. Horror games equal red. You must have red, because if you see red, it's blood. So we put red. So that's how we got around that. So you'll notice here, like, there's no blood in between here. I just tinted it like a skin color, and they were happy with that in the end. But I'm going to update it because I like the red background. So, like, doing this key art, but not the, that's the PlayStation one. Yeah, so this key art and then making this all like red in the background, I think it's going to be a nice look. So we'll be messing around with that as well at some point. Yeah, you end up doing a lot of this crap. There's a lot involved. Oh, good, we're done. Yeah. Okay, so player, controller, game base. I've deleted the energy. I thought I deleted that. Oh, for God's sake. What's it been used? I thought I deleted you. Why did I delete by accident? That's concerning. I thought I deleted that. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to stream tonight. It was literally like I was going to be doing this work anyway, so I thought I'd just stream it and explain what I'm doing, and people can see what I'm doing. I thought it'd be quite useful for people to see. Just going through and cleaning up code, fixing bugs, and a lot of the reason why we see a lot of bugs in the game is because it's been developed for some time now, just by myself, part-time, so you see a lot of like lingering bits of code that have been dabbled with and just not worked or experimented on. It's been left there to linger. So just going through and cleaning it all up, explaining why and what we're doing. Especially if I want to eventually have other people join me on the project and help me make it. So easier it is for them to navigate it, the better. The best advice is for as a programmer, and this goes for anything, not just games. Always remember, when you're programming, imagine that other people, as most of the time it will be the case, are going to be looking at your code and using your stuff, and that person, you don't know who they are. So go for the lowest denominator. Yeah, make it as simple as possible. That's the best thing to do. Yeah, so what was the undo history here? What did I do? Remove variable. What variable? I think I removed it, but it didn't like. I think it freaked out. Find references. I thought I removed everything for this. Did I miss one? So we just moved the mimic energy over to the other thing. Some big changes from the playtest Iron you might be interested in is the voting mechanics are working now, and they are more real time. Before, they were getting passed for every couple of seconds because of making sure things were being updated in the right order. Now I've managed to put it in the right order and put it in the game mode, make it somewhere central and reflected centrally in the game state to make life a lot easier. Yeah, so there's nothing here, so why can't I delete it? Yeah, I'll just delete it. If it causes a problem, I'm sure we'll find it. Yeah, so lots of little things tied up there. Next up, we've got in here. So it is all our graphs in the controller. We've got the UI stuff in here for creating HUD. Update alerts. So alerts are things that were designed to be put on the screen way back in like early versions of the game. You see my message about Android speed. Oh, Discord. I may have done. I cannot remember honestly. Possibly. I've got the Android speed working quite well. I say I've been working on it bit by quite a bit. And he feels pretty hardcore now. But yeah, I'm sure we'll revisit that. But I'll check out your message later. Well, I say later. It's nearly midnight, isn't it? Oh, come on, computer. It's lagging. It's lagging. Oh, speed controlled by amounts of vote of the player. Probably, yeah, we could do that. That could be interesting. There's lots of things I want to do with the Android, especially like animation wise as well. Like if he comes across a certain object, I wanted to trigger him, like fling it across the room, and like, I originally wanted him to like tear open doors and like, but that involves a lot of work and it's costly. Oh, what's going on? We've been smooth up until now. What's going on here? I have to make sure I save it in a second. Yeah, we'll do some animation stuff at some point. There's also things as well. I do a load of barks and little quips and noises for the characters and things like that. That involves me just doing a load of voice acting and stuff like that. We open up the door as well for getting others involved in voice acting. I might go talk to a local theatre school or college and see if they want any work experience and doing some voice acting. Which works quite well. I've used, I've gone into colleges before and universities before, and asked if anyone wants any work experience for them, because they, in the UK anyway, for their courses they need to have a certain amount of hours of work experience, and so I like to go in and try and provide that through either just basic conversational talking stuff or getting them involved in actual projects. Or the channel. So we've also used media students for some of the channel stuff too. Whether we use it or not, it depends on the quality. So yeah. What is going on? No, nice one, Ryan. Nice. Yeah. Drums. It's good to do because they want practical application based work. They don't want to do hypotheticals. So if you say to them like, this could be in a game, I just need you to do these various things, and we'll credit you and things like that. It's already a tick on their box before they've even left school. So, and if it hits off, it hits off. They get more work out of it. Like I've got a girl who done a bit of Foley for the game, Lucy, her name is. It's amazing, and I'm going to get her to do some more if she wants to, and pay her for it. Obviously, I think she's finished college now. What is going on? I can't move. Oh. Okay, it's all gone funky. Yeah. So these alerts were like way back in like version 1. Or 0.01 or whatever. I have no idea if we're still using them or not. Just file save everything just in case it goes wrong. Yeah, we're limited on the scope of voice for young people, but you get there. But you can always go around asking for friends and family to help as well. Especially when you just need things going like and screams and things like that. That's all you need. I've got to do mimic sounds at some point here. I don't know what. Okay, so. What was I doing? Update. Oh yeah, looking at these things, whether or not they're going to be useful. So let's see where it's being used. So on launch controls, we're using it. And I think I might be using that on when the shuttle's about to launch. You get a warning telling everyone there. So that could be a thing we look at. Oh my god, we might have to call it soon because it's starting to really hang. Plus it's late. We should go up to the wife at some point, I guess. Ah! No, mine's just not always like you go back to the stream, you'll see like it's perfectly fine. It's like suddenly, all of a sudden, at this time of night, it just freaks out and goes, I've worked too much now. No idea why. No idea. Just double check. It's not like drives. It should be fine. Don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Iron. It might be a good sign. Maybe it's just my Unreal's like got a timer based into it, saying like, call it at night. You can go to sleep now. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, dear me. I don't know why it does it. Perfectly okay. I blame you, Iron. You turned up and then it just started acting like this. It must be you. You must be like secretly hacking me down or something. Launch controls. There we go. So launch controls there. Multicast initial launch. Update alert. At sensor across to there. Call and alerted. And then the UI puts it up on the screen. And we're keeping track of what alerts are on. Not these are not even needed anymore. So fire and medical aren't nearly. Evade maybe. Launch maybe. Don't know. Kind of thinking we don't need anymore. So if I go here and find event alert, there it is, and that's calling on alerted. Yeah, so you're not using a couple of them already. Evade started doing stuff in here. Warning message. I mean, it's not a bad shout to keep this because then we can use it for other things, I guess. Because I am doing stuff like you're being chased, so maybe we can do you are targeted like that. Local is alerted. Could we make use of this? I feel like it could be done better. On the player state, we've got the is being hunted, and we got it spawning that warning message that we made here. But we could probably do that on the HUD side of things. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So the player HUD, we can have a thing on here on alerted, not be bound to it anymore. We'll take that out of there. Again, we'll come back to this one later. Here, initiate alert, initiate launch. We'll keep. I'm gonna detach it. I'm not gonna delete it. Actually, no, I'm gonna delete it, don't I? Shuttle is launching. I think that'll be better off in somewhere else. And I just don't like this update alert. This collect evidence stuff I'm going to change as well. It's too specific. I'm going to be a bit more flexible with it. So this was for the agent to have secret objectives originally to collect evidence and samples. They're now going to be taken out and made part of like your daily objectives and things. So you can see I disconnected it now. So I might just go and change that to interact with. We are the agent. Interact with them. Collect samples. Collect evidence. I mean, do I want to keep these? I guess I could, because you get bonus points, I guess, for it. Again, I think the player state makes more sense for that stuff than the controller does. In which case, this interact with yeah, so this needs to be changed as well. So the evidence object, this was barely even touched this thing. So this needs to be replicated. Begin play here needs to be set to not player state. We need to be local only doing this thing. Just getting a game roll and then setting the overlay material to highlighted object. If we are the local character. So I'll begin play. We do I guess we know we can leave it like that because that's going to just go for each character and say like, hey, are you this? Yeah, that should be okay. Leave it like that. Promote that to a variable though. Like that. And then down here we can get the state. Game roll. Agent. I'm going to put those in a state, I think. Do I need to keep track of it? I don't think I need to keep track of it because the original idea is that the agent had other objectives to do, but they got a hard enough objective already to win the game to basically make sure no one wins. So I'm thinking of just cutting that bit out, just giving them their points they need to give themselves extra points for various things and make it trigger other stuff. We're going to change this to evidence collected in total. That'd be a match progress thing. And then we're going to have, again, functions to manage that one. So collect evidence. And that's going to have an input for BP evidence. And we'll just take evidence collected, increment it, and then destroy the actor. Like so. So back on BP evidence, we don't care if it's sample evidence, we'll put all underneath one hood. And then as state here, we collect evidence. Don't need that anymore, don't need that anymore. Put that in there. Self. And this is interact with. So this needs to be client only, so interacted with. and that'd be client. So back on the controller, I don't need evidence or collect sample. Don't need that. Don't need that. Connect to Twitch. We are using. We'll put that into the Twitch category. Put in Twitch. There you go. Update alert. I'll leave that out of category for now, so I can remember myself to sort it out later. Respawn at egg. So this is happening on the mimic graph when we spawn an egg in. I didn't actually color code this, did I? There you go. Server spawns egg in as the mimic. Server color. And then we've got mimic role death. This is a client only, so do that here. Because when the mimic dies, it'll check to see if they have any eggs. If they have an egg, then it will change the UI that comes up on the screen. And that's what this does. So that'd be client check if mimic has any eggs to respawn at. Wash. Like that. And we'll put in a generic one called mimic eggs. Like that. Okay. So respawn at egg we'll put in as a mimic category. Get chosen class is a interface call. So we can't change anything about that. It is what it is. Stop menu music is a UI thing, so we'll put it in UI. Cool. Okay. Debug show HUD. We'll keep that in there for now. I think debug I'm going to put all out and put on a separate thing. Alerts we'll keep for now. Crew character we want. That'll be chosen character. Are we actually using this one? Can't remember now. Don't look like it. Nope. Crew character, find references. So we are using that one. This will be, I guess we'll put in player information. Do we have that? No. Oh, I do have mimic specific as a thing. I'll change this category here to mimic specific. There we go. Player information. Skin timer. So this skin timer, I think, is being used somewhere else now. Like handled somewhere else. I don't think we're doing it on here. No. So it should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Right. Next up, we've got these event dispatchers. Let's organize these. So this is security. Do you have anything in here? So it's play information. We'll make another one in here for in-game, in-match events. Alerted. Actually, that's not very clear, is it? Let's change that to be. Oh, no, it'd be fine. In match events, we'll do that, it's fine. Also, do that. Okay. UI, we'll change that to UI. role updated, skin updated, character class change, energy updated. So energy will be in match events. Oh no, energy. I'll make these all mimic specific ones actually. So mimic specific. Mimic specific. Mimic specific. Character class change. We'll do mimic specific as well. Cool, 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 cool. And that is one player controller organized. Nice. So the journey continues in organizing all of my rubbish here. Getting there. So focusing on the big ones first. So like game mode, game state, player state. So I think I've done the player state and I've done the player controllers. I don't think I've done the game state yet. No, but it's a pretty quiet one. And the game mode I don't think I've done yet either. Again, I think it's not too bad, this one. The voting system is its own thing. I don't think we're actually using anything on here, so I can delete that. So yeah, I've started doing some stuff in here already, but not too much. But I do want to change it to use the parent game mode over here. There's the game mode over here. System. We don't have a parent one. We'll change it to parent one here. Class. Game mode. Mimic game mode. And then this one, mimic game mode is, or game is going to be set to mimic game mode. There you go. Right, functioning no difference. It's just later on when there may be some things I want to have happen between the same game modes. Yeah, it'd be a bit easier to do that there. So for example, in here we've got begin play. So when the game starts, we are getting the game state and storing it as a reference because we use it quite a lot, and we initialize the voting system. I'm going to put that on there. Begin play. So this one shouldn't take too long. It's quite a simple one. Well, it's been done anyway. Just got to add comments. I'll do the comments in my own time. So server traveling from lobby screen. So when you travel from a lobby screen to the game, when you're playing with seamless travel, you don't get post login happening. You get on swap player controls happening. And here we're using interfaces to get the chosen character class from the old player controller and applying it to the new player controller. And here I'm telling it to initialize a player list for each player state. So everyone gets an updated list in the corner. So we'll put that there. And these are all going to be server based because obviously it's a game mode. So yeah, we'll do that. And I'll put that on part of begin play, I think. We'll put that in that sort of section there. Like that. It kind of belongs at the start of the game. It's like happening here. Then we've got this onset match start state. So this is a event that gets called as part of the game mode class when there's like 5 different states the game goes through. It has like waiting to start, in progress, and you have this waiting post match. So there was going to be more in here, but we don't need it anymore because I changed how it starts off. So all I really care about is waiting post match, which is basically telling all the clients that, hey, you should all exit now. So what I can do here is I can go, if it's equal to waiting post match, it will then tell the players how you can now all exit the map. So because at the end of the game it goes through like the scoring, and you don't want anyone to leave yet until the scoring's all done. So do the scoring, and then tell everyone to go home. Back to the lobby. In fact, I don't actually need to do that. I can just tell them to listen to me. Can't exit map. Oh no, it will do that. It's just on the client. We're not going to. It just adds the end screen widget. Yeah, that's fine. That's right. That's right. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. Where'd I put it? Where's the game So that is for the end of the game. So we've got begin play, and I'm going to put this as end play. Why not? Okay, nicely sandwiched in there. Very nice. I think that's it. There's nothing else in here. Nope. So the rest I've already sorted out. I've done the classes, get default pawn class. We're actually not doing anything here because we're spawning, because again I changed the start of this, so I can actually get rid of this. Don't need it anymore. Roles, assign roles. So this is important because this is how we assign who's a mimic, who's an agent, who's not. The way this works is we get all the players, we shuffle them all up with the randomizer, we get a random index from it, and say, okay, local all controllers, player state. There's actually probably an easier way of doing this as well, because with these you can do this and do shuffle, so it randomizes it completely. Make sure you store it as a local one though first, and then I can just say on index 0 it's going to be the mimic, index 1 is going to be the agent, and the rest are going to be crew. I could just do that. So I could do that, but well, it don't really matter. In here, oh yeah, also monitoring the option to have different number of mimics. So if you want 1 mimic, 2 mimic, 3 mimic, that was an idea at some point. We'll keep that there for now. Get all controls, randomize it, get a local chosen index, find it, make the role mimic, and then remove them from the controller. Okay, so when I random, get the random one from that. Then we know number of agents, do the same thing again, get a random index, store it as a local index, get the value, kick it out, remove it. And then all we're left with are player controllers, and that's how they get into game modes. That is it. Now here I've also got the player controllers as an array of player controllers. I don't think I actually need this anymore. I think I've replaced it with using the player state as a way of tracking it rather than a player controllers tracking it. Yeah, number of mimics was going to be a thing, so you can like toggle off a thing to make it so you have like more mimics than humans or whatever if you wanted to add chaos to your game. Yeah, so assign roles, set game roles. That was just literally going through that second part of that, which is actually assigning the role. Yep, that's all that's doing. Then we've got the voting ones down here. Player is ready. This gets called by each client when they've been spawned in. So this checks whether or not they're all ready to go and ready to spawn in all their characters. So here, we're going to change the category here to match flow. There we go. So let's go to our own category. So yeah, player controllers, I can delete that. As game state for mimic, we want to keep that. Android array, I don't think are we using that anymore? Android targets. Oh yeah, no we are, because you could have multiple androids as well. So we'll put that as part of the match flow. I've got game as a thing. Don't know. This is as I'll just do game. Public game. Player array we are using, and we'll make that part of the game as well, I guess. New player join, match flow, done and done. Cool. Unit N7, fast question about UV4 lights. So we have a hangar size interior where we should have built lights in terms of optimization. How to approach such a huge environment. Rec lights are really good for that sort of stuff. Large, flat rec lights. do your wonders. But yeah, that's about it really. It's hard to know because it depends on what you've got as the environment. In terms of optimization, yeah, keep your light maps as small as you can, but not too small so you don't get any bleeds. Yeah, but yeah, large rec lights is what I did when I've made large interiors. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm not in light mode here. So obviously this is UE5, but you just go in here, red light, turn it around, and don't scale it. Change the source width and height. Doesn't have to be super long, like crazy. Just do something like that, and then whack the intensity up, and it'll light up the big space. And think about how, if you're going for realism especially, think about how you, in real life, that warehouse is lit. Like what lighting system does it have in its place? You know, things like that. Oh yeah, I was modelling the company logo in the game and animating it as well. I was experimenting that. Because we're, yeah, just experimenting with things. I think that'll do. We've done all the major in-game systems now. Oh, game state we ain't done. Oh, it's fine. I'll do it another time. Yeah, we'll do it another time. But yeah, thank you for coming along. Hopefully you picked up a few tips and tricks and at least found it interesting to see how I've been refactoring the code and cleaning it up and fixing little bugs and little issues along the way. Whether or not we have a playtest this Thursday, I don't know. It depends on how far I get with this. I've got quite a busy week this week, especially as the kids go back to school this week, so we'll see. If we don't know, I'll let you all know otherwise. But we will be doing a question time live stream on Wednesday, as per usual. Anyway, have a good evening. Talk to you later. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.